As much as I hate to admit it, YouTube is a wonderful website. The ability to form your own audience, nurture and improve your craft, and have possibly millions of people watch and enjoy it is a modern wonder, and has led to some of the best user-generated videos on the internet. These days, viewers are spoiled by highly produced, high-effort, sometimes movie-quality content completely free to watch. But how do you start from making gaming videos in your bedroom to having highly produced, well-executed content that gains millions of views? Well, first things first, you're going to need talent, and the second thing that you'll need to reach the next level is money. Look, there's lots of good content out there made by a single person with no budget, but having a steady revenue stream definitely helps. But what happens when that revenue stream is suddenly cut off, or at the very least significantly hampered? Today we will be going over all major ad boycotts on YouTube, when creators were forced to change their style of content and brought to their knees. This is the YouTube Adpocalypse documentary.
Jump down, and then say some fucking gay shit. I'm gay!
If you were on YouTube around 2015 to 16, chances are you remember how edgy things were. Channels like Max Mofo, Filthy Frank, iDubbbz, and pretty infamously PewDiePie partook in some edgy activities. It seemed like people could say and do whatever they wanted, with provocative content permeating throughout the site. Hair cake, loser reads hate comments, making fun of actual children, nothing was off the table. Some say it was the golden age of YouTube, while others found it to be abhorrent and think the site's better off now. Regardless, it was certainly an interesting time to be a viewer. And if you happen to be a YouTube enjoyer, then you might remember the hot water PewDiePie got into. On January 11th, 2017, YouTube's at the time most subscribed creator PewDiePie had uploaded a video in which he used the site Fiverr to pay people to fulfill requests for him. For the most part, the video was fine. It just featured Felix goofing off on the website and laughing about the quality of the services offered, and showing how far you could push for just $5. And push he did, as the controversy started when one of his requests was fulfilled.
I like the editing.
Subscribe to Keemstar.
An admittedly poor taste joke, and a moment that he regretted, but a moment that wouldn't go unnoticed by wider media. On February 17th, the Wall Street Journal reported that Disney had cut ties with PewDiePie when a journalist asked the media giant to comment on the aforementioned clip, resulting in Season 2 of Scare PewDiePie being cancelled. May he rest in our souls. After the amount of backlash from mainstream news sources and accusations of being an anti-Semite, PewDiePie responded in a video called My Response.
But regardless of that, I just wanted to reiterate that my intention was to show how stupid the website is and how far you can push it by paying $5.
PewDiePie came out of this situation pretty well. Despite losing his Disney connection and a YouTube show, audiences came away thinking that the Wall Street Journal had slandered him and that PewDiePie was a victim. This is just one piece of the puzzle, however. It wasn't just the PewDiePie clip that had sparked the first adpocalypse. On March 24th, Jack Nikas, a now former reporter for the Wall Street Journal, had published an article stressing YouTube's continued inaction regarding placement of advertising on offensive and extremist content. One of the screenshots shows a Coke ad being placed on a video with a racist name and song. Okay, real quick. There's something you need to understand about internet advertising. Yes, I'm the expert. Ads are typically served to users through profiles, and are placed on websites wherever ad space is available. Just because you see an ad next to a racist video doesn't automatically mean the company in question endorses it. While first reported by the Times of London, the movement picked up traction once the Wall Street Journal article was published. This resulted in a wave of companies pulling their ads from YouTube, as they had lost confidence in Google's ability to serve ads in a brand-friendly manner. Not everyone was happy with how events were unfolding. Ethan of H3H3 Productions questioned the credibility of the article, getting in contact with the uploader from the previously mentioned screenshot.
Today, I wear black for the Wall Street Journal because we have proof, overwhelming evidence, that the images of brands' advertisements on racist videos are photoshopped, doctored, they're fake, and I have the proof.
Unfortunately for Ethan, he was wrong. While yes, the creator of the video wasn't receiving any money, the third-party music company who claimed the video was. The mounting media attention and fallout wasn't to be ignored by YouTube. Chief Business Officer Philip Schindler responded in a blog post on March 21st, which I will read an excerpt from now. The YouTube team is taking a hard look at our existing community guidelines to determine what content is allowed on the platform, not just what content can be monetized. And YouTube made good on that promise, but in a very YouTube way. YouTube's guidelines were to become stricter in the wake of this controversy, with creators being the ones who had to pay the price. This saw the landscape of content on YouTube change drastically, with Google executives overcorrecting in fear of scaring off their remaining advertisers. Missteps were taken in the course of this restructuring. Mass demonetization waves affected not just edgier creators, but creators in general. As a result, the site culture in general was altered to be more brand-friendly. People began censoring their videos more often, and creators like Filthy Frank simply couldn't make a living off of YouTube anymore. Many decided to open up accounts on Patreon to stave off the massive drop in revenue, and has been a fixture of YouTube ever since. After this, content on YouTube wouldn't be the same. Fears of the yellow dollar sign haunted creators for years, with it still being an issue to this day. Ah yes, Pepsi, the South's favorite carbonated sugar water. When you think of soft drinks, you often draw up images of hot summer days, sweet refreshments, and America's horrible obesity epidemic. But for a short time in April of 2017, all eyes were on Pepsi, as they had somehow made a link between diabetes in a can and civil rights. A now infamous ad featuring Kendall Jenner, Pepsi was shown to be the missing link that would bring us all together. Why in God's green earth did they think this would go over well? Using social unrest as a way to connect to your customer base as a marketing ploy is so out of touch that it's actually insane. But they approved it! Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. The majority of people seem to agree with my sentiment, as PepsiCo was slammed for its insensitive approach, even getting case studies written about it, such as one featured on Astute, where a quote from Entertainment Weekly called it a tone-deaf attempt to co-opt a movement of political resistance to increase sales. I couldn't agree more! This criticism wasn't localized to just press outlets, but general audiences as well. YouTubers tore this ad apart, such as the previously mentioned H3H3 Productions. So how does this tie back into the ad boycott? Well, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. Wikitubia, the best source for YouTube and YouTuber-related news and information, claims that Pepsi removed all future advertisements from YouTube as a result of the public outcry, but I couldn't find any information regarding whether that was true or not. All I could glean from it was that they had pulled advertising over the initial wave of ad boycotts in early 2017, and Pepsi still has a presence on YouTube, but I digress. The ad itself was pulled, Pepsi apologized, and it felt like a win for the YouTube community, collectively coming together to shit on this massive brand. Regardless, creators eventually moved on to the next thing, as we will after some messages.
Mikhail later describes this spider as being the size of a full-grown pizza.
Boo! Boo!
Leafy is here, one of the most polarizing and most interesting figures the YouTube landscape has had to offer. Later in the year, our recurring character H3H3 Productions made a video about how more ads were being placed on legacy media as opposed to actual YouTubers, despite the topic and sentiment being the same across both spectrums. This highlighted YouTube's double standard regarding who to monetize. On one hand, you had Casey Neistat trying to raise money for the Las Vegas shooting victims, demonetized, while late night talk show hosts talking about the same tragedy were getting fully monetized with big name brands. This obviously angered creators and audiences alike, and was an example of YouTube's double standards regarding monetization and community guidelines. Mistrust of YouTube was at an all-time high, and it felt as if YouTube was selling out to legacy media while paying no mind to its actual creators. Many had lost confidence in YouTube and YouTube's will to protect creators. Their botched response to the ad boycott, preference towards mainstream media, and resulting outcry from creators left a stain in YouTube's legacy. The people who had built the platform into what it is today were the ones who had to pay the biggest dividends in YouTube's first adpocalypse. And while we're only on the first wave, I have a prediction that YouTube hadn't quite learned its lesson yet. Kids. Probably the biggest demographic on YouTube. Kids content. probably the most lucrative genre on YouTube. Lots of children watch YouTube on a regular basis, so it's unsurprising that you'll see kids channels with insane view and subscriber counts. Even more unsurprising, parents don't often supervise everything their child is watching, and these strange and in some cases nonsensical videos are seen by children. What attracted the amount of views on these weird videos was the use of copyrighted characters, such as Mickey Mouse and Peppa Pig. However, Spider-Man and Elsa was the flagship for this sort of content, featuring grown adults donning the costumes of the iconic duo, and was sometimes in animated form. Existing for quite some time, this content ran rampant throughout the website, with the BBC making light of it in March of 2017. These videos were often found to contain lots of suggestive, violent, and sometimes downright disgusting themes and innuendos, all the while being pushed via YouTube's algorithm to kids. This rabbit hole was eventually dubbed Elsagate. YouTube obviously doesn't want any form of child endangerment or exploitation on their platform. They were making moves in June of 2017 to combat the growing issue. However, it wasn't enough. This controversy didn't fly like a brick through YouTube's window like last time, but was more like a leech that had been using YouTube to achieve its ends. Creators such as Pyrocynical had shed a spotlight on it all the way back in May of 2016. However, no action was taken by YouTube, allowing it to skid by for some time. Eventually, parents started to raise concerns, finding out about the disturbing content that their kids had been watching, causing multiple media outlets to publish articles and bring awareness to the issue. YouTube responded by cracking down on channels like Toy Freaks, who before termination had 8.5 million subscribers, and featured concerning videos where his kids would always be crying and in distress. Only 2 days after YouTube had expressed taking action regarding this issue, a concerning revelation was made. Innocuous videos of children in compromising positions were found with vile comments, saying some pretty disturbing stuff. Upon finding their ads placed next to this content, Mars, Liddy, Cadbury, Deutsche Bank, I don't know how to fucking pronounce it, all pulled their advertising, prompting what is referred to by some as the second Adpocalypse. The second Adpocalypse is a lot like the first in the sense of the advertiser response. However, the controversy itself had a whole darker spin on it all. It's hard to police the amount of content that's uploaded to YouTube daily, but this was, at least in my opinion, an example of creepy, disgusting people using a weak spot in YouTube's moderation for sick and unethical gains. Companies returned to YouTube after the controversy had subsided and changes had been made. Not too long after this, YouTube would have to bear another controversy spawning from the remnants of the Viner invasion, which I made a video about back in 2021. YouTube had taken hit after hit during these years, from controversy, to ad boycott, to child endangerment scare, to site-wide altering scandal. It seemed as if YouTube was incapable of avoiding controversy. After the Logan Paul fiasco, changes were made regarding monetization. Amendments such as requiring a minimum amount of watch time and subscribers to get into the partner program, which in turn angered smaller creators. And on the topic of small creators, it would be one that started the next massive ad boycott.
I also have evidence that these videos are being monetized. I'm disgusted. Hashtag YouTube wake up. Tell everybody about this.
Just when it seemed like YouTube could go through the first quarter of the year without a major incident, they were slapped in the face with hashtag YouTube wake up. On February 18th, 2019, a small creator by the name of Matt's What It Is uploaded a video titled, "YouTube is facilitating the sexual exploitation of children and it's being monetized," proclaiming his discovery of what he called a wormhole that, when sucked into, only showed you videos of children with disgusting comment sections and predators commenting vile things, along with timestamping when they were in certain positions. If you think I'm a broken record right now, you'd be right, as I had just got done talking about what happened during the second Adpocalypse where a similar issue was highlighted. Matt was clearly aware of this issue as he mentions Elsagate. The wormhole that Matt mentions is just an unfortunate byproduct of the YouTube algorithm. It's obviously wrong, but it isn't YouTube trying to make it easy for creeps. The last thing that YouTube wants is predators on their platform. It's bad for their image, and it's just a horrible thing in general. Creators had discussed and made videos about these rabbit holes before, so it's not like this was completely under everyone's noses. On the surface, it might seem like what Matt was doing was well-intentioned, but we'll come to find that Matt is the last person who should have been able to take up this job. Matt had pointed out and spread the message about something horrible that did need addressing by YouTube. But again, it is literally impossible to moderate every single comment section on the website, and YouTube had been taking action about these things in previous months. The unfortunate reality is that creeps find ways to slip through the cracks. And with any website as big as YouTube, these things are sadly going to happen. The correct response when finding these things is to make people aware and report and flag when you see it. The incorrect response is inciting a massive advertiser boycott on YouTube. I want you to guess which route Matt took. In his video, Matt shows multiple advertisements being placed alongside the mentioned wormhole content. In short time, many news publications wrote about Matt's findings, and advertisers were asked to comment on the issue. Like I explained early in the video, ads being placed next to content doesn't automatically mean it's an endorsement of that content. But off to the races these brands went to pull their ads. Disney, Nestle, Epic Games, all pulled out in response, which, according to Matt, was somehow going to stop predators on the platform.
The only way to get YouTube to do something about this is to hit them where it hurts. And that's in their wallet.
But actually just caused the third Adpocalypse, or as it's sometimes referred, Adpocalypse 2.0. It's the third one. At this point, you might be questioning Matt's agenda. It seemed like Matt had it out more for YouTube than the actual predators on the platform. There are live stream clips wherein Matt claims, "I want to make it look bad for YouTube."
Just to make it's weird to say, but I want to make it look bad for YouTube. I want to make it look very bad for YouTube.
And creator attempts at talking to Matt and trying to explain his bad approach was met with him putting his fingers in his ears singing la 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 la. Okay, maybe not exactly that, but it's basically how he responded. Thinking that creators were greedy and selfish, only caring about their monetization. YouTubers are going to have to
suffer, unfortunately,
according to Matt, and YouTubers were quick to turn on him and pick apart his campaign. His previous content was unearthed, and a creepy video showing him asking a girl if she wanted to film an adult video was revealed.
This isn't good. No, don't.
Interested in shooting an adult video?
That's not okay. Alright, ladies and gentlemen.
Furthering the narrative against Matt, even some branding him as a creep himself. He had single-handedly made the YouTube community hate him, and just as soon as he came, he left. After streaming a final time on February 19th, leaving the rest of the website to deal with the fallout of his actions. If you want a more in-depth analysis on Matt's character and the situation in general, Lemon made 2 good videos on the subject. With just one video and a short amount of time, Matt had incited and succeeded in crippling YouTube and its creators. But why? If you were to ask me why Matt did what he did, the way he did, I'd say he probably saw how YouTube handled these situations before, and probably got it in his head that they didn't actually care about the issue period when he discovered the wormhole, causing him to blindly hurt creators in his war against YouTube. I'm sure at the time Matt thought what he was doing was a net good and everybody in his way was wrong, but hindsight is 20/20, as Matt said in his response, conceding that, after thinking about it, his approach was bad, and that he ended up hurting a lot of innocent people through his selfish crusade against YouTube. It's pretty easy to see that YouTube has its problems, and their lack of transparency didn't do any good in helping creators. I get it. YouTube sucks, and shitty things happen on its platform, but that doesn't mean you take the scorched earth approach and try to burn the whole site down. Advertiser boycotts on YouTube just don't work. Of course, the lack of advertising will hurt YouTube, but the first people that are gonna get hit are all the innocent creators. Let this be a cautionary tale in internet activism. If you're going to attack a website, make sure you're hitting the right targets, not the innocent people caught in the crossfire. Politics. Sometimes boring, toxic, or both. As headache-inducing as politics often are, it's also integral to our wider society and culture. YouTube is no stranger to politics. Back in 2016, you had the anti-SJW wave sweep the platform, and later on BreadTube to take its place. Media companies have also existed on YouTube for a long time, with one of them being Vox, a left-leaning media organization that posted content on YouTube. And it was one of Vox's own creators that would go on to ignite the hate speech versus free speech debate, alongside calling into question YouTube's interest to protect its creators from harassment. Featured on Vox was a video essayist and blogger by the name of Carlos Maza. He started working for Vox in 2016 and created the series Strike Through. This series was something that another political commentator by the name of Steven Crowder liked to watch and criticize. Mazza was aware of Crowder and didn't take too kindly to his comments, tweeting a video of Crowder on multiple occasions calling him offensive insults aimed at his sexual orientation and race. Mazza claimed to have reported these in the past, with YouTube doing nothing in response. He also claimed that Crowder's comments had caused him to be doxxed and bullied by his audience, showing text saying "debate Steven Crowder," allegedly after his personal number was leaked. Mazza was more mad at YouTube than Crowder, claiming that they didn't care about LGBT creators and allowed Crowder and people like him to get away with hate speech. In conjunction with this, he claimed Crowder was in violation of YouTube's terms of service, citing content that makes hurtful and negative personal comments / videos about another person. People on both spectrums came out in support and opposition to Mazza, with the hate speech versus free speech discourse having a new platform. The Team YouTube Twitter account responded, claiming that they were looking into it. Crowder would go on to release a video responding to the claims, stating that he doesn't condone doxing and didn't think what he was doing was hate speech, later having on Tim Pool, who claimed Vox was trying to silence his free speech. On June 4th, YouTube released a statement saying that despite finding some hurtful language, they found Crowder to not be in violation of community guidelines. As an open platform, it is crucial for us to allow everyone, from creators to journalists to late-night TV hosts, to express their opinions with/in the scope of our policies. Opinions can be deeply offensive, but if they don't violate our policies, they'll remain on our site. This wasn't the news that Mazza wanted to hear, stating, YouTube's response gives a green light for racist and homophobic abuse. It signals that the platform has never actually intended to stop harassment or abuse, as long as it gets them more views. What I don't get is why YouTube has built its business strategy around monsters like that. After the ensuing backlash, YouTube went back on its decision the next day. Update on our continued review. We have suspended this channel's monetization. We came to this decision because a pattern of egregious actions has harmed the broader community and is against our YouTube partner program policies, demonetizing Crowder and managing to piss everyone off in the process. Mazza claiming that it wasn't enough and that he should have had his channel deleted, and Crowder obviously not happy about losing monetization. I understand this isn't necessarily an ad boycott, but it echoes some of the same ploys that we saw in the previous incidents, and a lot of creators, especially right-wing ones, were demonetized. I'm also not here to tell you what to think of this situation. It's complex and depends on what values you hold. Regardless, I don't see right-wing content going anywhere on the platform. Plenty of creators still exist and operate on YouTube, including Crowder. As for Mazza, his series Strikethrough would be cancelled in July of 2019, and went on to leave Vox in January of 2020. In an interview on Business Insider, Carlos explained his reasoning for leaving Vox, citing his desire to do his own thing. He was still unhappy with YouTube, of course, but decided to rejoin the platform. Quote, "It's a shitty company that exploits its creators and doesn't deserve to exist. But while it does, I might as well flood its airwaves with leftist propaganda. Use the master's tools to take down the master's house or whatever." Despite how hot this debate got, I genuinely wish the best for both parties. While not the typical routine when it comes to Adpocalypse standards, the Vox apocalypse was still a notable moment in online political discourse, and led to a tightening in harassment policies on YouTube. I would hardly, if at all, consider this to be a full-blown ad boycott akin to the ones we've seen before. The scope was much smaller in comparison to the Wall Street Journal's attempts to slander PewDiePie and wound YouTube. However, I would consider this to be an interesting case of online political discourse reaching YouTube's doorstep. Whoever you think is right or wrong, just know that the best way to engage in discourse, political or not, is to approach it in good faith and attempt to be fair. When it comes to user-generated content, YouTube is king. They are the biggest aggregator of independent creation on the web, have made the careers of many, and given the everyman the ability to express himself. Of course, their many missteps and historic lack of transparency has made many lose love for the platform, and I can't blame those who think that way. For all the times that YouTube was in deep shit, it seemed like creators were always getting the boot. A lot has been discussed today. We've learned that advertiser boycotts can come from anywhere. Starting a movement only to demonize the people who attempt to reason with you will pave a bleak road to justice. Creeps lurk in and around all corners of the web. And media companies hold strong sway in shaping YouTube policy. Through this all, you've seen the massive shift of an entire website's culture over the course of a few years. Multiple cataclysmic events rocking the boat with its passengers wondering if they're gonna fall off, or if the captain's even listening. Despite all the criticism levied at YouTube, I still love this platform, and I guess I shouldn't be ashamed to admit that. Will YouTube face unending controversy? Probably. But will creators weather the storm? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. God, that was fucking... Delete it!